This morning, a Massachusetts man is in isolation after being diagnosed with the first case of monkeypox in the U.S. this year. The U.K., Portugal, and Spain have reported unusual monkeypox clusters. That information helped diagnose the man in Massachusetts, who's said to be doing well. Monkeypox is more common in Africa, often from animal to people transmission. Doctors say the Massachusetts patient traveled to Canada recently, not an area associated as high risk for monkeypox. So the question is, how did this man contract monkeypox?
Get Bill Gates in here!
There are over 5 million.
Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process. The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq.
What did you say?
What the fuck did you just say?
And the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. Of Ukraine.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Iraq, too. Anyway.
Don't laugh! This ain't reality TV!
It seems beyond reasonable for Twitter to claim that the number of real, unique humans that you see making comments on a daily basis on Twitter is above 95%. That is what they're claiming. Does anyone have that experience?
How about if a child is halfway out of the birth canal? Is an abortion permissible then?
Can you repeat your question?
If a child is halfway delivered out of the birth canal, is it permissible to have an abortion? Would you support the right for an abortion then?
I can't even fathom that ever.
I'm not asking you if you can fathom it. If it occurred, would you support that abortion or not? That's unrestricted abortion, right?
That's a question that I can't imagine. Just like you probably can't imagine what you would do if your daughter was raped. If it hasn't happened, it may be difficult. You probably can't imagine what you would do if your daughter was raped. If it hasn't happened, it may be difficult for you.
You're not going to answer this question, but how about this one? How does one qualify as fully human? What makes a human being?
What makes a person a human being is them being born, number one. That's why we have birthdays.
There is no question that the Republicans want a total nationwide ban on abortion.
Are you going to answer my question? Can you answer the question, what's a woman?
I'm a woman. And I will ask you, which pronouns do you use?
Can you
If you tell me that you use she and her pronouns, I'm going to answer you. I'm going to call you Mr. Bishop. I'm going to respect you for how you want me to address you.
I'm just saying, so you give me an example of a woman. You say that you are a woman. Can you tell me, otherwise, can you tell me what a woman is?
Yes, I'm telling you, I'm a woman.
Is that as comprehensive a definition as you can give me?
That's as comprehensive as a definition as I will give you today.
This bitch.
Arambide?
Arambide? Okay. What do you say a woman is?
I believe that everyone can identify for themselves.
Okay. Do you believe then that men can become pregnant and have abortions?
Yes.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Ma'am, you testified that you are, quote, unapologetic in seeking unrestricted abortion access. So I'm wondering, at what point is it not okay to abort a child? What age of gestation?
I trust all people to determine what they can and can't do with their bodies, full stop.
Okay.
I also believe that human rights, including access to the medical care that they need within their communities, is something that should be afforded everyone.
Great. Okay, so you support late-term abortion?
I support all people and trust
That means
people.
late-term abortion. Do you support partial birth abortion? In other words, the child is half delivered, and then the woman says, my right, I want to take that one out. You support that?
I trust people to make decisions about their body.
Wow. Okay. What about So abortion should be allowed then, by your definition, for any reason, for any purpose, at any stage, right?
I trust people to make decisions about their body, and then when relevant, I think that they need to consult their medical practitioners.
Okay.
And not
If it
Congress.
is, listen, let me just ask you this question. If it is not lawful and morally acceptable to take the life of a 10-year-old child, I assume you agree with that, right? That would be wrong, correct?
I believe that
Okay.
that is
And a
wrong.
2-year-old child, same thing, that would be murder. We would all agree that's wrong. Then what is the principal distinction between the human being that is 2 years old, or 9 months old, or 1 week old, or an hour old, than one that is 8 inches further up the birth canal in the utero? What's the difference? Why is it okay in the latter case and not the former cases?
This is not a mundane detail, Michael!
I trust people to determine what to do with their own bodies.
Wow.
Full stop.
Wow. Full stop indeed.
Please, Spock, do me a favor. And don't say it's fascinating. No. But it is interesting.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do
Available.
and homelessness and all that. And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
I'm kind of retarded.
When I first heard about the Supreme Court leak and the Roe v. Wade possibly being overturned, I thought, oh, well, here it is. Something that the blue team can use to rally the troops behind. But it seems to have fallen a little bit flat. A lot of people just don't seem to be that concerned about it. I mean, sure, there are some very outspoken people and a lot of shrieking feminists.
I am angry because we have reached the culmination of what Republicans have been fighting for, angling for decades now, and we are going to fight back.
Ugh. But at the end of the day, the whole thing seems to have fallen a little bit flat. And then we had some mass shootings. The only one that's really being covered a lot is the one in Buffalo. Surprise, surprise. Biden went there to show his support and rally against all this violence being committed by white supremacists. He didn't seem too concerned with heading out west to that church where a bunch of Taiwanese people got shot up. I mean, yeah, there wasn't as high of a body count because the churchgoers heroically wrestled the guy to the fucking ground as he was shooting people. But considering it was a fellow Taiwanese churchgoer that did the shooting, it couldn't really be tied to white supremacy. So it looks like that one will just get filed in the same place where they put the guy who ran over all those people in the Christmas parade. And a few weeks back there was a subway car that got shot up in Brooklyn, and it turned out the suspect wasn't somebody who fit the narrative, so bye-bye to that story. And now, just yesterday, there was another shooting in Manhattan on a subway car, and they're, as of now, still looking for the suspect there. And if the suspect turns out not to fit the right narrative, that story will probably go bye-bye too. And then there's also the fact that John Cena had to publicly apologize like a little bitch just for referring to Taiwan as a country, so I'm sure that's a topic he'd prefer to steer well clear of. But even with this grocery store in Buffalo getting shot up and all the white supremacism's claims, even though the kid had a multi-100-page manifesto online that you can download a PDF of, and he has this little like mock interview with himself where he plainly states that he considers himself to be a leftist. Always has been. He said earlier on he was more full commie, but now he considered himself the mild authoritarian left. But they're not going to let facts like that get in the way of a good story. Only problem is, this new push for gun control also seems to be falling flat. Turns out people are a little bit more concerned with things like record high gas prices. worrying about whether or not they're even going to be able to go anywhere this summer, because the summer price hike that always happens when people start driving more hasn't even happened yet and we're at record highs. Or being able to feed the babies they actually have. Well, it turns out that shutting down one of the major manufacturers of baby formula for months on end over dubious reasons isn't a very good idea. And parents went from, oh God, my baby likes a certain formula and I can't find my specific brand, to holy shit, I'll take anything I can get real fucking quick. But don't worry, President Poopy Pants is flying in 1.5 million bottles worth of formula into Indiana, which, considering there's more than twice that many babies born in the US every year, I don't see it doing all that much to help. It kind of reminds me of back in the end of March when Biden announced that, oh, he's going to release 1 million barrels of oil every day from the strategic reserves to help bring gas prices down. 1 million barrels sounds like a lot, but considering we use 20 million barrels a day, let's see, it's been 7 weeks now. Yeah, how did that go? Did that bring the prices down at all, or did they go up even further? Of course, it's hard not to think that shutting down those pipelines and canceling drilling leases in Alaska and the Gulf of Mexico might have had something to do with the gas price increases, not to mention creating trillions of dollars that they've done in the past 2 years. And now you even got some places adding an extra digit to their pumps to get ready for $10 a gallon gas prices. Something which a lot of people just a month or two ago said was fucking ridiculous. Well, it's not so ridiculous now, is it? And maybe shipping off a shit ton of baby formula over to Ukraine a month and a half ago wasn't so hot an idea either. But hey, who am I to judge, right? I'm sure these people know what they're doing. So if you're hoping that this Operation Fly formula, brilliant name by the way, is going to help things and fix everything, I wouldn't go betting on it. Of course, this gives good old Billy Gates an opportunity to bring his new synthetic milk to market. Amazingly, every time there's some kind of crisis, who's there to stand to profit from it? Huh, what a guy. And what did Congress do this past week? Well, they approved the $40 billion package to Ukraine. I'll get more to that later. But they also spent a good chunk of the week holding hearings on the unexplained aerial phenomenon, which is the hip new lingo for UFOs. And after all these sightings of aircraft doing things that defy the laws of physics, their official explanation is, we don't know. They're not willing to say if it's extraterrestrial or some other country, but it's definitely not some kind of secret U.S. program, because if we had developed secret new technology to fly a different way with electro drive propulsion, they would totally tell us about it.
Out of 144 reports between 2004 and last year, only one has been explained. Since then, the number is closer to 400. So you can see they are increasing as we have more cameras in the sky and we have more eyes that can document what they're seeing with these cameras. I'm fascinated by this. I don't know how you explain what that object was, but I've heard flight engineers say it defies all rules of physics and science that we know, that an object can move in that direction at that speed without tearing apart.
See, that right there should be the part where they should be interviewing scientists, let's say physicists, and say, these crafts seem to be doing things that defy the laws of physics. Now, these laws of physics, they're not like, say, speeding laws, where if you go above the speed limit, you're breaking the law. No, these are laws that are supposed to be unbreakable, like gravity. You're not supposed to be able to defy gravity. Not really. But these things do. They defy gravity and inertia and everything that we're supposed to know about aerodynamics. And there doesn't seem to be a scientist who can explain it. At least not in an unclassified setting. But no, they're not hiding anything from us. And you have to wonder if all this isn't some kind of priming of the pump for a Project Bluebeam rollout sometime in the near future, which, if you don't know, Project Bluebeam was a plan developed, an idea about a fake alien invasion hoax using technology that we would claim to be aliens, and using the threat of an outside otherworldly force to unite all of humanity behind one common cause. As for the probability of them trying to pull something like that off, it's really hard to say. There's a lot of different cards that they could try to play. It could just be a EMP. Maybe they'll say it was a solar flare. There could be one of those cyber pandemics that Klaus Schwab's been telling us so much about that could take down the power grid, the financial system, anything. That would in turn cause a complete supply chain breakdown. I mean, we've seen complete breakdowns in certain areas, and they're not getting better, they're getting worse. But if it completely collapses,
You're gonna see some serious shit.
and this is on top of the impending economic collapse that people like Ben Bernanke, the former head of the Federal Reserve, has recently been warning about. And you got the head of the Bank of England warning about apocalyptic food shortages and price hikes. And when people of that caliber start saying that there's something on the horizon that's bad, you better fucking believe that it's coming. We could also see a new wave of good old-fashioned terrorist attacks, or a new scariant, or a completely new virus, like, I don't know, monkeypox? Amazing how this very rare thing from one little part of the world has suddenly popped up in 20 different countries, right as all these countries are meeting at the World Health Organization trying to get them to sign on to a treaty that, in which case, if there is some kind of pandemic, they don't have national sovereignty anymore. The UN is in charge. The UN is in complete control of the response worldwide. What a massive coincidence that about a year ago, the US government started buying millions of doses of vaccine for smallpox/monkeypox. Huge coincidence. So there's all these different possibilities of problems that there's a pretty good chance we could be seeing in the near future. Hell, it could be all of these things, or it could be some combination. And that's not even including the threat of total nuclear annihilation. That's a thing that most people can't even prepare for, which is why I'm totally against us sending any more shit to Ukraine. And this may be for kind of a selfish reason, but I think it's a pretty fucking good one. Because if this turns into a nuclear exchange over the fact that they're now using all our weapons and we've got special forces over there actually fighting, if the shit does go nuclear because of it, are you going to be sitting there dying of radiation poisoning going, well, at least we tried to do something to help the poor Ukrainians? You still think it's going to be worth it? So yeah, maybe it's a little bit of a selfish reason, but I'd prefer not to start World War III over this. We've already got enough fucked up shit that we're dealing with. The last thing we need is for these missiles to start popping off. And as for all these Ukrainian military that were holed up in a steel plant in Mariupol, well, they were finally given permission to surrender, and Russian forces took them into custody. But for some reason, every single Western media outlet has been reporting it as Ukraine ended its combat mission, and that the fighters were being evacuated. That's a funny way to word surrendering to the enemy. It's almost like they're lying to me. And for all the talk about how the Ukrainians are kicking the Russians' butts, we sure are having to keep on sending them a shit ton of weapons, to the point where it's going to be years of production by Raytheon and other contractors just to restock all the stuff that we've sent to them. So if something else happens to pop off, like, oh, I don't know, China invading Taiwan, we're going to be seriously depleted on being able to do anything about it. And just this past week, there's a supposedly leaked audio tape of Chinese generals talking about invading Taiwan and simultaneously attacking the US. Now, this is something that's damn near impossible to corroborate and verify, but if it is true, this would be the time to do it. And now today, while giving a joint press conference with the Prime Minister of Japan in Tokyo, Joey Skidmarks decided to tell the world that the U.S. would intervene militarily if China was to try to take over Taiwan. And of course, people in the administration immediately started trying to walk back what he had said. Again. But I can't help but wonder, are these the deranged ramblings of an incoherent, senile old man? Or was this a case of him saying the quiet part out loud, actually letting a little bit of truth slip out because he's a little too senile to know what he should keep his mouth shut about? So I guess we can add that to the list of possible shit show scenarios. Sláinte.
In this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night. So say good night to the bad guy. So night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. Come on. Come on. Come on. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. I told you, don't fuck with me. 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 You stupid fuck. Look at you now. Look at you now.